to Gateways to Glendale College. I'm Ann Ransford, Director of Communications Marketing in the Foundation here at Glendale College.
And I'm Dave Greenbaum, President of the Glendale College Foundation. And Ann, before we introduce our guest, why don't you share with us the times that this program can be seen?
Okay, happy to. We're going to be Gateways to Glendale College on Channel 15. You can see us Thursday night at 7 o'clock, Saturdays at 1:30 p.m., and Sundays at 11.
Terrific. And our guest today?
Our guest today, Dave, is Yeimei Wang, who's Professor of Food and Nutrition at Glendale College. She's been at Glendale College since 1974. And since I've been here forever, I know you from way back, Yeimei, from way back when she would come and talk to my senior citizens class.
That was a long time ago.
Right, just yesterday. Just
Yes.
yesterday. And so, Yeimei, we're really pleased to have you with us because you have such a wonderful program and it's so popular here on campus and do so much for the campus. And tell us a little bit about what it is that, about your program and what.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Our pleasure.
The Culinary Arts program at Glendale College is just so excited this year. We just moved into our brand new home. It's a 4,400 square feet building with a dining room that can seat 80 people. The patio can seat about 100 people, and we have a beautiful classroom and a huge kitchen, the latest state-of-the-art kitchen. And about over 350 students are really enjoying the facilities. We have we offer 3 certificates. One of the certificates is Culinary Arts, Restaurant Management, Culinary Arts. The second one is Hotel Restaurant Management. And we have a 3rd certificate for the people who are interested in career in the hospitals, convalescent nursing, retirement homes.
Having seen the program in action, it is an impressive program, and I think so many people don't even know this type of program even exists up here at Glendale College. Are there other colleges in the area? Are we just a special breed that have this, or is this pretty much a norm in other community colleges in the area?
We have quite a few colleges in the Southern California area and the community colleges that offer culinary arts. Orange Coast, for instance, has an excellent program, and Cal State LA, and it's growing in leaps and bounds. We have students from all walks of life taking our classes right now. We have students who are interested in opening their own business, catering businesses. We even have a PhD from India taking classes from us this semester, and several students who have already a 4-year college degree, career change. And of course, there are many people who are aspiring to be managers of restaurants or chefs and nutritionists.
Very, very unique program. And you have a culinary school. I know there used to be one out at the Equestrian Center out there, a culinary school that is no longer there. So I wasn't even aware that you had a culinary school here. So these people can graduate and go right into being a chef at a major restaurant?
Yes, yes. We have a very fine one now in Southern California, and in fact, they were looking for some of our teachers to teach for their classes as well. We do have some students who actually will transfer there, but most of our students transfer to Cal Poly Pomona, who offers an excellent program in hotel restaurant management.
Where are some of our graduates in, at what restaurants here in Glendale or beyond, or?
They go all over. We have someone from the who retired from IBM company, went to the East Coast, Connecticut, and opened a bed and breakfast. We have a mother and daughter who is presently taking our classes, who wants to open a bed and breakfast up Northern California. So they go all over. We have students who are now managers of restaurants, and some have entered the hotel business. And we're very fortunate. The Hilton Hotel in town has been very supportive, and we have an internship program with them, whereby our students go there to get additional training, such things as housekeeping.
Oh, that's great.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, do you have a job placement program, or are you able to help these individuals who are in your program find jobs? Or
well, actually not a structured one, but I get phone calls every day from employers in town, either in the surrounding areas, Burbank, Pasadena, all over. And they'll place a call and say, we need a chef or a sous chef, or we need a nutritionist. Could you send us a student? We even had some of the prisons who called us and said they need someone to work in their prison dietary or the cafeteria.
You know, Yeimei, another thing that you do here on campus is the wonderful special events, and you also recently, in the last few years, were Professor of the Year, and did such a beautiful job with using food and demonstrating food as a way of giving a lecture to all of us, which is part of the requirements of being the Professor of the Year, right? So I thought maybe we would segue a little bit and talk a little bit about holiday cooking today, because the holidays are around the corner here, and you know, your programs are the model. We all walk away from your events going, wow, we wish we could entertain like this.
Well, thank you, Anne. I'm very fortunate. I'm in a field that I really am very passionate about, and it is a fun field, something that we always can discuss that at parties and such. And this is coming up, probably is the most favorite time of the year with the holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And I thought it would be fun to share with, this is a perfect time to talk about giving parties.
Yeah.
And I think the key to having a good party, which is coming around the corner, I don't know what time this show will be aired, but main thing to remember is to make sure that the host and hostess have a good time at their own party.
And how does that work? How does it happen that you have a good time?
Well, I think that it's nice to pre-plan everything, you know. And for instance, if money is no object, of course you can hire the best caterers to do the job for you. But many of us like to do our own cooking. But also it can be stressful. So there are many ways. If I'm going to take the middle of the road now for people like me who has a slight budgetary consideration, then in a case like that, I think the planning is very important. I might want to prepare food that can be made days ahead, a few days ahead, so that it's not so stressful on the last day. A lot of the things can be made ahead of time. Even the table can be set a day ahead, so that you don't have to wait until the last minute to do so. In fact, I would be glad to share with the public any kind of helpful hints. If they would like to call us, I would be glad to share with them.
Oh, good.
And then, of course, if you really want to take shortcuts and you don't have time to cook, my daughters are in that category, they can always call out for companies who will prepare trays, platters for you. And that could go into any range. You can go to Bristol Farm to get more elaborate ones, or go to some of the other stores, such as your local grocery stores, and they prepare very nice trays. So it can be at any economic level. The key is to prepare ahead of time, set a goal for yourself and say, this is the budget I'm shooting for. What kind of parties you plan to throw? Is it either casual or not or formal? And you have to know your guests. If you plan a party that's too formal, your guests might feel very uncomfortable. So you know your guests, and then plan ahead, and then shoot for that. And then on the day of the party, just sit back and enjoy.
Sounds
That's
good.
That's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word catering. Do you do any catering? Does your students, do you offer any catering to private parties or anything like that?
We do, but we have so many requests, Dave, that sometimes we have to draw the line. So my philosophy is usually we cater to non-profit organizations, because I feel that we don't want to compete with the local caterers, because our labor is much more reasonable than the local caterers. But also like the city, for instance, if they ask us to do something, we'll be happy to do so. But there are so many requests for us and the campus. We're on our third week on campus. I already have something like 32 special requests for special parties. But the one that's coming up that we're very excited about, I don't know whether it will be aired by then or not. We're planning a party for a cocktail party for Habitat.
Oh, Habitat for Humanity. Right,
Humanities.
I heard about that. Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, and that's a fundraiser they're doing to raise money for the homes that they're building. They're building 4 homes here in Glendale.
They will have a silent
Yeah.
auction,
Mm-hmm.
and the theme will be all Italian hors d'oeuvres. So we will decorate the patio with Italian
terrific.
colors and themes and flowers. And then our students will pass all the wonderful hors d'oeuvres around, hot and cold, and it should be a lot of fun. I hope that people will plan to come.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, if you could elaborate, as you mentioned the word special events, can you elaborate some of the other special events that your students or classes have put on here at the college or in the last few years?
We catered, for instance, at the Alex Theater, the animation thing for 1,400 people last 2 years. Not this year because we just don't have time. And of course, we'll be hosting the foundation dinner coming up. And our Patrons Club, we dearly love that group, so we will be catering a party for them. And oftentimes, just for the people on campus, a lot of their conferences and the deans or the vice president have their annual meetings here. Because now that we have the facility, we're anxious to show off our chefs' talents. We have 2 wonderful chefs working on the campus here, and their talents are just wonderful. They're experts in their field, so I'm anxious to show off their talents.
And we have time for one
One
more
more
question.
question.
I know
Well,
that you have something you'd like to say.
I do, because I know, Yeimei, that you had some recipes that you might just briefly describe that you were going to have available, and people could call our office and we would send them a copy. So I was wondering if you could kind of like briefly describe the 2 recipes that
I'd be glad to.
you're gonna share with the public, and then I can tell them how they can get hold of them.
All right. Well, one recipe that recently has been very popular because there are so many people who are turning to vegetarianism. One is called tapenade, and it's just a really mixture of Kalamata olives chopped up, and you could use red or black pepper, green peppers grilled, chopped in there, olives, garlic, tomatoes, parsley, and all that, and marinated in olive oil, and also anchovies. I'll be glad to give you the exact proportions.
Good. Okay.
But you can make that several days ahead and store in a jar with the olive oil, and then you could also have these baguettes, and cut into an 1/8 of an inch thick. Brush the bread with olive oil and put in the oven and roast it for a short time. Bake it for a short time. That can also be done the day ahead. Then on the day of the party, you could choose to put a little dip of that on each piece of bread and put it on a platter.
That sounds
Or let the
wonderful.
guests put their own.
Yeah, well, let me share how people can get that recipe.
All right.
Just call our Glendale College Foundation office. The number is 551-5199. Give us your name, your phone number, your address. We'll be happy to send it to you.
And one of the recent one that I just learned is called fricatta. I just learned that from our chefs. So I'm going to share
we'll
that.
have
Yeah.
We'll have that available too. And I think it's time for us to wrap up. The time goes
Okay.
like that when we're having fun.
Thank you, Amy, for joining us. You're very charismatic and you have a lot to offer, and thank you for being our guest today. And we'll be right back after this message.
Well, students, it's about that time again. Choosing classes, buying books, seeing old friends. But most importantly, it's time to register for a new semester here at Glendale College. If you are a new student, you must apply for admission for the upcoming semester before you can register. Returning students can choose classes by viewing the class schedule on the internet at www.glendale.cc.ca.us or simply by purchasing a class schedule. Make sure to check for prerequisites before registration. Registration will take place via phone on your assigned date and time. Use the convenient registration worksheet to simplify the process. Dial 818-545-7777 and follow the instructions given. Don't forget to pay your fees, and we'll see you soon for an upcoming semester here at Glendale College. For more information, dial 818-240-1000 extension 5901. Study hard and good luck.
We're back with Gateways of Glendale College. And Ann, why don't you tell us about our next guest?
Well, our next guest is Andrew Feldman, who is a chef here and an instructor at Glendale Community College in our culinary arts program. And Andrew has a BA degree from Colgate University in Hamilton, New York, and he's held numbers of chefing positions.
This is true. This is true.
And I thought you might start out by telling us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, it's funny because when I went to Colgate, I had no idea that I would ever end up as a chef. I had a typical liberal arts degree, but as time progressed, I found I really loved working with food, and I liked the atmosphere of working in restaurants. So I went to the Culinary Institute, and I graduated from there in 1988. Then I went to Boston and I started working around there. I became a chef at a hotel and a chef at a few well-known restaurants in town. And I had an opportunity to move out to Los Angeles, which I did in 1993, and I've been here ever since and love it. It's quite a change from being in New England, but I found it to be much to my liking. Especially now being at Glendale, it opens up a whole new array of possibilities and challenges.
Well, you've certainly made a major impact on our culinary arts program.
Thank
here.
you.
It's this beautiful new center that Yeimei described to us in the last interview.
The Los Robles building is outstanding, and it's really going to serve as an attraction to the students all around Southern California.
You teach class up at the culinary. How many different classes do you teach up here?
I currently teach 3 classes.
3 classes.
I teach a sanitation and safety class, an advanced culinary class, and then my 3rd class varies. Sometimes I teach cost control, sometimes purchasing, sometimes dining room management. Not only have I been a chef, but I've owned a number of businesses, including restaurants, and I actually own a production catering business which serves the needs of the video, TV, movie business that we have here in Southern California. So I'm kind of a busy guy.
I'm
Sounds
sure
like
you
it,
are.
yeah.
I'm just curious, there used to be, not too many years ago, a culinary institute, what we call the Equestrian Center out here in Burbank, which is no more. Where would be the closest culinary institute aside from what you have right here at Glendale College?
Well, there are no, there's a private school in Pasadena now, which is been operating for a couple of years. The institute that you're referring to, I think, has shuttered its doors, unfortunately. But except for Glendale and Trade Tech and Mission College, there aren't a lot of options for somebody who's aspiring to a culinary career.
Really?
And because of that, I think we've really hit the sweet spot, and we're going to really expand our program,
That's great.
which is very exciting.
Well, Andrew, I see some bottles of wine here.
They're here for a reason.
And why don't you tell us why they're here?
Well, I thought with the upcoming holiday season, we'd have a chance to discuss wines that might be appropriate for the holiday season, and then not only wines for the season, but perhaps gifts for the upcoming holidays as well. I was thinking that, you know, when we have wine aficionados, you know, we think, well, what are we gonna get these, you know, friends of ours or relatives for gifts? Of course, the best idea is to get them a bottle of wine or champagne or sparkling wine. However, if you don't know what their tastes are, there are a number of other alternatives you might pursue. Wine glasses might be an option. There are beautiful wine glasses produced in Europe as well as in South America. The 2 best-known ones are Rydell and Spiegelau. They tend to be very expensive, but they do have lower lines, which are very nice. This, you can see, is kind of a bowl-shaped glass, and this really accentuates the quality of red wine. It really allows the wine to breathe, oxygenate, and develop the aroma that's so important with wine.
You know, one thing, just speaking of glasses, that one little tip that I learned one time about how you're supposed to hold the glass. Show our audience how you're supposed to hold a wine glass.
People don't like to hold the wine like this because it tends to warm the wine. Red wine should be served at cellar temperature, which typically is in the low 70s or high 60s. So by warming it with your hand, it warms it to be, it's too warm. The idea is also, you might like to move the wine around. That helps oxygenate the wine and develop some of the bouquet. And you get to see the trails kind of flowing down the side. That indicates the amount of glycerin in the wine, which adds to the mouthfeel. That's a good characteristic. So this bowl-shaped wine is specifically, bowl-shaped glass is specifically for red wine. You'll notice white wine glasses have more of a tulip shape, and that allows the wine less surface area. It doesn't cool down or warm up as readily. And then, of course, champagne is champagne flutes. All of those make great gifts for the holidays. I also was thinking about wine gifts, being in the education side, books and videos. There are two books that I really like. One is the Windows of the World book by Kevin Zraly. This book has been around for about 15 years, and it's been recently updated. It's an excellent book for somebody who's interested in learning about wine. And then a real tome is the Oxford Guide to Wine. It's almost like an encyclopedia size, and that covers every aspect of wine. So those are some ideas I was thinking about for gifts for the aficionado. Another couple of things, maybe a little lower price, might just be like a wine stopper. If you open a bottle of wine or champagne, you don't have the ability to drink it all, a wine stopper will preserve it for a later occasion. Those are a couple of ideas that I had.
Those are good ideas, yeah.
I was, before we went on the show here, Andrew was standing over there pouring his bottles of wine. I said, someday I'd love to know the story behind the chef's hat, why they look like they do. And you said to me, well, why don't you ask him?
Yeah.
Well, I said, I will. I said, no, why don't you ask him on the show? I said, well, I'm sure Andrew has more interesting stories than that. But he said, no, I think that'd be an interesting story about the theory about the chef's hat, why it is what it is.
Well, there are actually a number of stories behind the toque, as we call them. For sanitary reasons, it's a good idea to have your head cover. For the kitchens tend to be hot and sweaty, so it protects the food against contamination. Also, the feeling is that you're actually cooler in the kitchen when your head's covered. It's when you're working in heat, just like you're outside, you'd wear a hat. That's one reason. Two is the high hat shows authority. The head chef always has the highest hat. That kind of shows you who's in charge of the kitchen.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then you have these pleats here, and there's a lot of discussion of why there are pleats in the hat. It doesn't add to the cooling ability. I don't think it's a fashion statement, but supposedly every pleat indicates a different way of preparing eggs. There's 105 pleats, I believe, and each one is a different style of preparing eggs. So that's a little background for the hat, and plus I think it makes a good fashion statement as well.
It does. It definitely does. It definitely does.
Story.
Yeah.
Is there, what kind of interest is up here in your culinary programs? So do you have quite a few students, or students waiting to get in, or a waiting list? Or?
We find that our classes are almost always oversubscribed. So our classes are full, which is great for us. We have a great facility with a lot of space, so it enables us to fully use it. So my feeling is with the new facility, we're attracting more students, and the classes really are subscribed, which is a good thing for us.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interest now in the community, as well as amongst the students. When they see what a great facility we have, modern equipment, beautiful dining room, it attracts a better caliber of student.
Returning to our wine discussion for a minute, one of the things I wanted you to make a few comments about kosher wines, because they're becoming more and more available.
It's true.
And I thought if you might.
It's funny because I remember when I was growing up, kosher wines were always sweet and sticky and heavy, and not something that we'd like to drink. And the reason was that kosher wines used to be made from Concord grape, which is the local grape in New York where most of the kosher wines were produced. Because those Concord grapes are very acidic, they needed a lot of sugar to balance them out. Consequently, were overly sweet. But with the demand from discerning consumers for kosher wines, things have changed for the better. I notice now that kosher wines are coming from Italy, France, Australia, Israel, of course, and the United States. These wines are using the best quality grapes, the most modern viticultural techniques with master winemakers. Consequently, the result is an excellent product. Some of the brands that I like are Herzog from California, Gamla and Golan from Israel, and there are a number of new brands of wine coming in from France, which are excellent in all price ranges. So I think in a blind tasting, many kosher wines could put up quite handily against regularly produced wines. The difference, of course, between kosher wines is they have to undergo the koshering process. They have to be actually pasteurized, which does have some effect, but with modern techniques, it's almost imperceptible. So there's a wide variety of kosher wines now available. And for those people who prefer to drink of that style, there's many offerings.
Or people that need to get gifts.
That's true, too.
Yeah.
Andrew, you've been a very informative and interesting guest, and I
you.
know before we close our show, we want to have a little sample tasting here and have a little toast.
Let's do it.
Let's do it as right.
This is a Merlot from California. I think for the holiday season, the lighter red wines work very effectively. So
We should be
shall we toast
swirling
the
here.
holidays?
We
Let's
sure
do
shall.
it. Let's do
Terrific.
that. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. Very
Very good.
nice.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
very
thank you
much.
very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
You were a wonderful, wonderful guest.
Thank you.
And we thank you for joining us. And I would like to remind you again that we can be seen at 7 o'clock on Thursdays, 1:30 on Saturdays, and 11 o'clock on Sunday. Thank you.